Hello, everyone. It's Pastor Randall, and welcome to our walk through the Bible, stroll through the Bible study as we look at the first 4 chapters of the book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy is a collection, presents itself anyway, as a collection of addresses of Moses to the people. We talked in the introduction about the innovations of a closer moral theology that is coming out. We talked about how these ideas that are planted in Deuteronomy start sprouting both in the books that follow Joshua, Judges, 1st and 2nd Kings, Joshua, Judges, 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, as well as the prophets. Now you'll notice I didn't say Ruth, and we'll cover that when we get to Ruth, about how Ruth is not really part of the same type of literature as the books around her. But here we are, and we're looking at chapters 1 through 4. It is a flashback in these chapters where we go all the way back to Mount Sinai in this book called Mount Horeb, which throughout the Old Testament, Sinai and Horeb will be interchangeable. Here on the mountain, here at the foot of the mountain, Moses is addressing the people and telling them it's time to move. And well, in fact, the address itself is a flashback. It's like, oh, we were at the base of Mount Horeb, and God had given us the law, and then we were commanded to move. And we got all the way to the promised land. And there was grumblings, and God did not like your grumblings. And like I said, it's a very much a summary. And then they get there, and then the people were afraid of what they saw in the promised land. And God got so angry, and Moses says, God's got so angry that I didn't get to enter the promised land. Now, as we read in the book of Numbers, there's a slightly different take on the story, even though in the book of Numbers it's vague about what happened at the waters of Meribah that made God not like, or God to reject Moses as being able to enter. But again, Deuteronomy is both part of the Torah, but also stands on its own. And so in this summary, they get to that point, and then they have to wander, and there's more drama, and there's more battling to do, but they did it, and now they have come through all of this, and they're ready to go into the promised land. But before they get there, Moses has one more task, and that task is to teach the people. And what will follow will be sections of speeches that will recapitulate or reiterate the law. They will also bring with them innovations that will make the law a lot more accessible, I think, to us as modern Christians. If for no other reason, then this is the book that most of the prophets quote. This is the book of Torah that is quoted extensively in the New Testament. We will be familiar with these. But Moses ends this with, again, this new, so we have this keep the law, and if you remember in Leviticus and Numbers, the law seemed it didn't have that moral bend to it. It was just like, do this, don't do this. And it didn't really matter what your heart was like, and it didn't really matter what the other part. But now that we get to Deuteronomy, we get this new idea that by doing the law, your heart will be changed. And if your heart remains good, then all things are going to be well. Everything is going to work out if your heart is changed. But with that also comes the curse. Every blessing kind of has a curse on the backside, and dare I say, every curse has a blessing on the backside, is the ideology that we see here in Deuteronomy and beyond. And the curse of it is, if you can, just like they got to the promised land, but the people could not trust God, thus they had to die in the wilderness and a new generation rise up. Should those who come to possess the land not follow through with the law, not become the people they're supposed to be, if they mistreat, and here's the beginnings of this humanitarian thought that we will see running through Deuteronomy and beyond. If they mistreat others, then they will lose their land. And that's where we come to today as we look at chapters 1 through 4. Next video, we'll look at chapter 5, a little bit into chapter 6, as we begin the first of the 4 speeches. Well, I guess the rest is, 5 speeches, but then 4 speeches where Moses teaches the people again about the law. And thank you for being with me, and God bless.